Hello, everybody. This is Kerry Ho from thesongbirdtree.com, where we get grounded, take flight, and sing. And I want to welcome you to a very special episode of the live stream today, episode 33, Build Confidence and Overcome Performance Anxiety with vocal mindset coach Keziah Grace from Anxious to Sing. Now, before we welcome our special guest on, I do want to let you know of a couple of things. All right. So my free mini course, How to Sing in Mixed Voice and Stop Cracking, Flipping, and Straining. If you don't have that yet, please go on to the description box link below, click on the link, and you can actually sign up and get it for free. It's a 4-part video mini course that will really help you get started in singing in mixed voice, having that beautiful connection between your registers, and just sounding and feeling great as you sing. Okay, so you can grab that for free in the link below. All right. Hey, Susan, good to see ya. Tammy, good to see you as well. This is so wonderful. So welcome to all the songbirds who are here live, but also welcome to everybody who will be watching this later. It's going to be amazing. All right. So guys, let me tell you a little bit about Keziah before I reveal, before I, pull back the curtain. So Keziah is from the UK. She is a vocal mindset coach. So what that means is that she basically melds the wonderful worlds of singing coaching and also life coaching together to really help singers not only sing better technically, but to really have the right mindset, because our thoughts really do influence the way our voices produce sound and the way we sing and the way we speak and the way we show up in life. So I'm so excited for you to meet her because you are going to really learn a whole heap today, okay? So here we go. I want you to put your hands together, clap emojis, whatever you can do to just express your excitement to welcome Keziah, because I'm going to welcome her now. All right, here we go. Keziah!
Hello. What a welcome. Thank you so much.
It is so good to see you. I mean, I want to just let the songbirds know out there. The thing is, we didn't think that this was going to be possible because you're in the UK, I'm in Australia, and the live stream time just didn't work for us because it would have been in the middle of the night for you, some ridiculous time. But now you're in Peru, and so it worked, right?
It is 6 p.m. on Monday, the 14th here in Peru. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm in your future. It's Tuesday, 10 a.m.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can tell you that the future's looking bright.
As long as it's a good thing.
All right. So, Keziah, I know that you just have so much rich knowledge and tips to share with our songbirds today. But before we get into that stuff, we'd like to get to know you a bit more, okay? You as the artist, as, the beautiful human being that you are and the coach that you are. Can you tell us just a little bit about your background and how you've ended up a vocal mindset coach?
Yes, of course. So I started singing at a very, very young age, and that was at church. So I started singing in a church choir when I was very, very young. I remember specifically dancing around, holding onto my dad's hand, having a little boogie in the aisles. I never knew what the words were. I just made up my own words. I just wanted to sing. And I guess that is where my love for singing came from. It was where I first understood that a group of people can connect through song. And that is where that was instilled in me in a very young age, even though I didn't really know what was happening. I just knew everyone was doing it all together, and it was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful sound. And so that's where everything started. And then I developed the love for theatre. So specifically musical theatre. I went on to train for musical theatre, for 3 years. Yeah, in the beautiful city of Edinburgh in Scotland as well. So here, there, and everywhere is my life, but it's glorious. So I trained there for 3 years. I graduated in 2016.
Yep.
So I then went on to be a professional performer. So I went on to perform as a singer, a dancer, and an actress. Started on cruise ships. So I started with Headliners Theatre Company, which at the time was doing shows for P&O Cruises UK, not Australia. Very different. And I learned that as well. So it's such a different kind of company. But so I started working for them. I did shows aboard there, which was such an experience. You do 10 different shows on a ship. You can do them up to 3 times a night. It's a lot, but it's wonderful. We did an entire show that was all Queen music, which was my element. I loved it. So yeah.
Songs belt out of
Oh,
Queen.
so actually in that show I sang Show Must Go On, and it was like on top of a smoke machine, and it was a wind machine as well, in this like full-on costume, and I was like, oh, it's just, you can't
Fantastic.
explain it. I look hilarious doing it now, but in the costume it was.
Oh, it would have been incredible. You would have had like the wind in your hair and the lights and everything.
My hair was much longer then too, so it was like all crimped golden hair, so yeah, it was
Cool.
good fun.
Yeah.
And after that I continued on cruise ships. So I did Princess Cruises and did the wonderful Majestic Princess, the ship, and that was amazing, and another incredible, very different but incredible experience as a performer. And then a little stint of the joys of being a performer and being slightly unemployed for a while, happens to us all. And then I gained my job at Universal Studios in Japan, from which I came home just before the pandemic. So that's a little bit about what I've done.
Wow, that's amazing. So it sounds like you've done a lot of performing, like you've really gotten yourself out there, doing the whole sort of theatrical thing, and it sounds like you're a triple threat. Amazing. So tell me, what about the coaching side? How did you, what made you go, I don't want to just perform. I also want to help singers, and why vocal mindset?
Yeah, so it all comes as from a lot of things from my own personal experience. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. So from when I first started college, actually, musical theatre college, I was really shy, and it's quite funny now when I think back to it. But I remember as well, like in my first year in particular, I was very quiet. I didn't really know where I fitted. I loved it. Like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the people, but I didn't know how to express that in the right way. And I struggled with the term belting. So for the longest time, I sang everything I was like more classically trained. So I sang everything in a very like wide drop door space kind of soprano resonant sound. So you get to the point where you're trying to sing, and I'm telling you, I'm not going in a soprano voice from Dreamgirls, and you just think, something's not quite right here.
No, and I can't imagine Queen as well being sung in a soprano voice.
No, I mean it could be equally as dramatic, but no, not quite the same. Yeah. So I started my journey with belting, really. So, and I like to call everything one voice rather than terminology, but in terms of that kind of singing, that started my journey. So I tried to develop this more contemporary type of singing, and that came about in second year. All of a sudden, I was singing along to Cher, and this voice came out that had never come out before, and I was like, this is amazing. And this started and opened a whole new part of my life, and a whole new potential for my career and my voice. But equally along with that came a lot of fear around the things that I'd instilled in myself prior to that. So I'd convinced myself back then, because I was like 17, I'd convinced myself that you didn't have to belt to be a good singer. And where these things are true, I was saying it out of spite, really, for myself, because I was like, I can't do it. I can't belt. Why can't I do it? And I just convinced myself so much that I couldn't do it, that when I then easily could, I still believed that I couldn't do it with ease.
Right.
And that is very much where my own mindset journey began, in that came along. And this was before I knew anything about trying to have healthy thoughts and like healthy words, and how you speak about yourself is so important. And so different feelings of anxiety came in around that. So my anxiety, like anxious feelings, would manifest themselves through my voice in a slight constriction sometimes. So I would feel, and I knew that something wasn't right. Like I had the skill, I had the ability, but something wasn't clicking, and I could not figure out for the life of me what that was. But all I knew was that I wanted to sing, and that nothing was going to stop me from doing that. So then moving forward into my career post-college, post-graduation, I decided I was going to try and figure out ways and develop ways that I could manage this myself because I wanted to sing. I knew that I wanted to sing forever. So I was like, how can I figure this out within myself? And I tried and tested lots of different things around mindset, things around the voice. I would do like what I believed was everything was right for my voice, especially in my first job. I was like, I'm doing everything right for my voice, but there was still something not clicking. And I was like, something is still not there. And it's important as well to note that like the audience is none the wiser. Like just because someone's having a successful career doesn't mean it's always easy. Like there's still things that the audience don't know going on backstage. And I had my own feelings of anxiety and that stemmed from this belief I'd instilled in myself that I couldn't belt. So I tried and tested, as I said, all these different things that I wanted to be able to harness the power of for my voice. And it wasn't until I gained my own life coach alongside having an incredible vocal teacher at the same time that I began to learn different ways that I could actually set free these limitations, these beliefs that I placed on my own heart and in my own life that I was subconsciously living by. So things like I can't belt even though I clearly could, and small things like that seem small affect your voice so much. And it wasn't until I was able to address them and really work through them and start to turn them around and empower them instead that my voice began to just be like, wow. Like I never felt like such a transformation in how I sang and how I addressed singing and how I feel about singing. Like I always loved it, but I love it to its core now. Like I crave it, like I want to do it because I know that that's how I express myself. And it's the whole idea of harnessing your unique self into your voice, and that is how you share your like unique power. And so long-winded story, sorry, but this is how
good. I mean, there's a lot of in there that I'd like to unpack. So it sounds like what you're saying or what you've discovered in your singing journey, Keziah, and please tell me if this is, if what I'm hearing is correct, is that you could have the best technique in the world. You could also look after your voice, in the best way possible, like, eat and drink the right things and have good sleep and all these things. But you can have all that going, but then there's another big piece of the puzzle, and that's your beliefs. Is that what I'm hearing? Is what you've discovered? So and that for you,
sorry, you carry on.
Oh, and that for you in your journey, when you did discover what those limiting beliefs were, you then started to really see your voice soar and flourish. Is that correct?
Yeah,
How
definitely.
cool is that? That is amazing. Are you able to maybe tell us, like, what were some limiting thoughts that you did discover you had, and how did you overcome them?
For sure, yeah. So there are things. So, for instance, the first one was that I believed I couldn't belt, even though I clearly could. Like I'd been employed, and you forget to remember these facts as well. You forget to notice the things you've done. I even spoke to a client about this today, but it was the case of you as performers as well. We can go from show to show, and we work so hard up to the next show. We do that performance, and then we're waiting for the next show, and you forget to remember what you just done. You forget to look back on that performance and be like, I've just achieved this. I've just sang this successfully. I just performed to this many people. And that was my issue as well. So I believed that I couldn't belt despite any proof. And the interesting thing that I learned as well about how our subconscious works is that if you firmly believe something, whether it is in terms of like about yourself, whether it is fact or fiction, you will look and find that proof. So if you've told yourself, I can't belt, then you'll find that proof wherever you can, because your subconscious wants proof of it, because it believes it without knowledge of whether it is right or wrong. There's no differentiating between the two. So it will believe that fact and then be like, oh, there's your proof right there. Even if there's no proof, we always look for it and we find it. So that's what I've been doing for the longest time. It wasn't until I was able to work through where that belief originated from. So I personally, with my clients, I teach what's called the box exercise. I didn't have this specific exercise when I did it, but it was the same kind of routine and like work through in order to like work through where that thought had come from. So finding the source of where it originated from is a really, really important
the source, did you say? The source?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
the source
Okay.
of the
Yep.
thought. Yes. So,
Yes.
for example, if there was a situation where that came about, so I had remembered a specific time. So this is for an example. I remembered a specific time in college where that constricted anxiety had come up, as opposed to how I'd intended the belt to come out. And I'd taken that and believed that that was what would always come out. So, for an example, that's what would always come to mind when I then went to do so, because it was deep rooted in my belief that this is how I sang. And then we want to turn that around. So you find moments in your life where this specific belief has limited your actions or has limited the outcome of your actions as well. And then you try to turn them around. So it's a long process of what I do with my clients. And this is the process that I went through that takes, it's a lot like this as well. So going through mindset is not easy. It's not a case of just being able to be like, okay, so this is your limiting thought. Here's an empowered one. There you go. Because I always like it to, if someone wants to quit smoking, for example, if you want to quit smoking because you know it's bad for you, so you're like, right, so I should quit smoking, the chances are slimmer that you'll actually succeed because your heart is not in it. Whereas if you're like, I know like all the facts about this and I feel like it's the right thing, I know deep down I have to stop smoking, then you do for it. And that's just an example, because then you're more successful in it because you have that alignment with the heart of what you're doing and the heart of the task, the heart of the action. So that work from I don't believe I can belt to being like, to changing it to an affirmation of my singing voice is limitless. That whole journey is a lot of things like that. But if you have the heart, you go from one to the other. If you have the alignment with what you're doing, you do go from one to the other successfully until you are in this hand and you believe deep down, my singing voice is limitless.
Yes. I gotcha. I'd really love to just throw out a question to the Songbirds who are here, and also for those who watch it later, you can comment in the comment box as well. But guys, can you actually share with us? Do you have any limiting mindsets when as it pertains to your own voice? Like, is there something you don't like about your voice, or like a belief that you have? It'd be cool if you could share it in the chat, and we can actually support one another in this. And so I'm just going to give people time to do that. But as people sort of think about that, Kezia, what would you say would be like a really good, I guess, first step, because it sounds like this is a real journey, right? It's not something that overnight, suddenly I just wake up and I look at myself in the mirror and I say, I have a limitless voice, and then we never have the fear again, right? I don't think that's the case. So what's a practical tip, Kezia, that you would give the Songbirds? Just what's a starting point? What can they start to do now to actually help them overcome limiting mindsets for their voice?
I would say a really good starting point is if you have a vocal practice or something like that, after you've finished the vocal practice, just write down 3 things that you really loved about it. And sometimes that will seem easy, sometimes that will seem harder, but to really pinpoint on those things that you loved about what you just did. As I mentioned before, with like you forget to like reflect on the performance you just gave. We're just about moving forward. Reflect on what you just did, because that is you. So having those 3 things that you love about your voice and that you love about what you've just done, and then just simply saying, I'm grateful that I just managed to sing this note for the first time. I'm grateful that no matter what, I fitted a practice in today. I am grateful that I have a voice to sing with. Just begins that journey of the love connected with and the joy that's connected in singing.
Yes. I really love that, Kezia. Yeah, it's such a simple, practical thing that we can start doing is to actually look for the good, look for the stuff that we actually do enjoy. Because if we really allowed ourselves to, we would find something,
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe sometimes we might need to dig a bit, but there's always gold there. So thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. So what about when it comes to, I guess, the live performance situation, there, we, and I'm sure you've experienced this yourself. I've experienced it. All of my students experience it, where there's sometimes like pre-performance or even in the preparation phase, just continually feeling like I just don't think I'm good enough, or are lacking confidence to actually get up on stage and perform. Do you have anything that to speak to that, to encourage our songbirds today?
Yeah, so in terms of preparing for a performance, there's lots of things to think about. So I know some people speak about like mind-body connection, a body-voice connection, and all of which are so important. I have them all. So I like to develop a mind, body, breath, voice connection, like prep routine. So
Ooh, what does that look like?
So developing something like that is super helpful. So how I help that with my clients, for example, is we work through those limiting beliefs. We turn them around. We do the deep-rooted work. We find those affirmations that connect to the core, and it changes from I can't belt to my singing voice is limitless. And that'll be something that they connect with, that they can feel as well when they say it. So that kind of prep routine, we would start with the mind. So that would be your affirmation. So anything that's going to help you feel that empowerment. Some people like to do meditation and things like that around that. Yeah. I do a lot of like visualization guided work because there's so much power in your subconscious. So listening to some kind of visualization meditation is a really good one for the mind aspect. And then having those affirmations, just even if they're just on your phone and you read them. I recently had an experience where it was right before going into a performance of sort, and I had 5 minutes, and I was like, right, just going to read through my affirmations. And that was how I started my 5-minute version of this prep routine, for example.
So do you have them written down? Like, do you have some cards or something, Keziah?
Yeah, so I personally, I have a morning routine that helps me set up for a good day, like sets me up in a good way so that I feel empowered from the beginning of the day. So that begins with
I love this. I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. So it sounds like you set your mindset up for your whole life. Like, it's not just about, I have to perform now, so I'm going to do a visualization, or I'm gonna, it's actually, it sounds like, because you've got a morning routine, that's every morning, that's every day, I'm guessing, right?
So
it sounds like for you, what you're saying is that it's really important to actually set our minds right, just overall for life. Would you agree with me? Yeah, so
definitely.
Tell me what your morning routine is. Do you mind sharing a
little
bit about
that? So it's a bit different here because I'm in Peru, and for the rest of your audience, well, it's also, so I'm visiting my partner whilst I'm here in Peru, because we've not seen each other during the pandemic and everything, and we actually do a morning routine together whilst we're here. So dream come true. So so we do a little bit of exercise, and then some meditation, and then I would do my journaling. So I have it's called a 5-minute journal, which you can find online. You can get an app for. It literally takes 5 minutes. It is 3 things you're grateful for at the very start of your day. It is 3 things you really want to do today, but things that you can control. So not, I'm going to win the lottery, because you can't control that. So something that you can control. So I'm going to do my vocal practice, for example.
Right.
And then one affirmation is and you write that at the bottom. I personally write about 5 to 7 affirmations and just feel them empower me in the morning. So they stem from things like my singing voice is limitless, for example, and I was born for such a time as this, and things like that. So different things like that really hit home with me personally, and equally develop them for yourself, for your unique self and your unique voice and your journey and everything. Is really important to do that, not just to take the words of others as well. And then, at the minute, then we walk the dogs.
Love it. I love it. It sounds like it's such a holistic morning routine that just gets your body and your mind and your spirit just sort of in the right place, which I'm just really, really loving. That is so fantastic.
Really,
it's so great to have people like you as examples to follow in this sort of thing, because often we just rush into the day, or we wake up and the first thing we do is we pick up our phones and we check our email of social media, and it's like, hey, maybe that's not the best thing. And I'm not saying if that's what you do, I'm not judging, but taking the time to actually factor in things that will actually fill your tank and actually help you start thinking right seems to me to be one of the most important foundations for singing and for life in general. Right?
And that's as a life coach and a vocal coach combined, that's exactly what I talk about. Like everything that we put forth in like our voices, like how we sing is like it's a representation of ourselves. Everything that we are is projected in our voice, which is why the mindset really truly affects how we sing. So setting the day up in the best possible way, like getting to the point where it doesn't feel like work, it just feels like a pure joy because you know it's for this purpose, and it gives you that feeling of empowerment at the beginning of the day. Just yeah, it really feels like the best way. And I genuinely spoke about this with my client previous to this call as well, and it was a case of like, you don't have to be a morning person to start your day right as well, and it's important to remember that it doesn't have to be. I don't always like using the word routine, just because that can sound like you're forcing yourself to do something. So using something, just even if it's reading a book that either a self-help book or something that really gives you that insight into life and the way that you that you think about it at the beginning of your day, just to help with those things, rather than going straight onto your phone, reading about other people's lives. We want to empower your life so that we can empower your voice, you know? Yeah.
I so love it. You know, at the Songbird Tree, we talk about get grounded, take flight, and sing. And I feel like what you're sharing is get grounded. Like that's which then helps us to take flight and sing. I'm loving this. This is so good. Songbirds, I'd love you to well, first of all, I'd like to open up the floor for questions. If anybody has a question for Keziah, please do feel free to put it in the chat box. While you're doing that, I'd also love you to tell us, is there anything that you think you would love to start doing in your own routine in life, like whether it's morning or evening or whatever, or near the beginning of the day, that you know just will put you in the right mindset? So if you can think of something, would love to know what that is. All right, so Keziah, so that was, in terms of, I guess, something that we could do daily, right, to sort of make sure that our whole lives, really holistically, we are in the right mindset. And you've also talked about what we can do in performance situation, like a pre-performance routine, and one of those being visualization. Can you take us a little bit deeper into what visualization is, and how do you do it? Like, what do you do? What do you visualize?
Yeah, so it's a funny one as well, because I don't know if like how many people will have tried meditation as well, but for me personally, I find that hard as a creative brain. I have a very photographic memory, so if you say something to me, it's why I can't watch horror films, because the picture just stays in my head and then it just stays there forever. It's engraved on that photographic memory.
I'm the same.
Yeah. So especially with our creative brains, visualization can be an incredible tool. So I spoke briefly about your subconscious and how it can't differentiate between fact and fiction. So, for example, I like to use an example like dreams. When we're in a dream, it feels so real. Like you don't know it's a dream. You just think this is my life. And sometimes we wake up and it's like, was that a dream or was that reality? And it feels a bit funny for those few seconds as you wake back up again. So it's like that. What we want to create for ourselves, for our lives, we must first envision with that belief. So visualization, I speak, for example, like in my courses that I run with clients, the first session, at the end of it, I always do a resetting your voice visualization. It's called the liquid gold visualization. So you walk through different aspects of some form of perfect scenario, some form of empowering scenario as well. It's important to ask questions, because as you ask those questions, it brings your mind into that state in a better way, and it helps you visualize it with more clarity. And that is also an important part of visualization. So instead of just being like, I am walking along a meadow, it's a beautiful sunny day, the hills are rolling in the distance, everything is green, you're wearing, what shoes are you wearing, for example, or what, that kind of thing, just so you can really feel yourself in the moment. And that guides you into different parts. So with this one, for example, it's about beginning that journey of shedding the old beliefs and the restrictions that you have on your voice, and resetting it with this liquid gold, which empowers and protects the vocal folds and everything that is within, in order to reset them and feel them anew. So that is that type of visualization, for example. So it's all about finding that clarity within that the vision that you see, and making it that empowered vision of the life that you want and the singing career that you want as well.
Yes. Oh, that's just gold.
Liquid gold.
Anyway, now, I have so many of my students, and myself included, we struggle with, we can't stop listening to ourselves when we sing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? And then it's like, oh, I don't like the sound of that note, or, oh, that note was a bit flat, or whatever it is. And all we hear is this mindless chatter of what we're hearing. Do you have any tips on how to turn that off? How to actually stop listening to ourselves and to be really present in the moment? Like you actually talked about being present in the moment. I feel like as singers, that is so important if we really want to be able to show up authentically with our full unique selves and share this gift of music with the world, right? So anyway, do you have any tips on how to turn off that chatter and how to stop listening to ourselves?
Yeah, so I love this subject, and it's such an important one as well, because then that's how you find the joy in that moment of singing as well. And a lot of performance anxiety in particular tends to stem from fear of what could happen, fear of the future, what might happen when you start to sing, when you go to sing on stage, etc. So we get stuck in a cycle of trying to figure out the what ifs, where being prepared is a good thing, but having a mind that's constantly trying to think of all the things that could go wrong sets you up in that detrimental way as well. So in terms of in the moment, especially in singing practices, and I saw a really good post on this the other day as well, and this is something that I've thought of for so long, so that I think it's important to record yourself singing so that you can learn from that, but I think that the visual of it is really important, so that you can see how you are. And sometimes I see myself and I'm like, oh, Keziah, just relax those shoulders, girl, and things like that, and noticing those physical features. And that is why the body is part of that pre-show prep as well. But sidetrack. In terms of when you're singing in your practice, try to have like a journal that you can then write notes on after, but allow yourself to record yourself, but live in that moment that's happening right now. Right now is not the time to analyze. When you're singing in that moment is not the time to analyze. That is the time to feel everything, to feel your voice, just enjoy the singing, because as we enjoy it, it comes out in an even better way, doesn't it? So allow yourself that time to sing and perform in that moment. And then you can come back to the video afterwards and then be like, okay, so I could maybe do that a little bit better, but in a more analyzed way. And it's important to remember as well, in those moments that you do go back and you think, okay, so we're still then going back and we're thinking, oh, so maybe that was a bit flat. Those practices are never meant to be perfect. They are the moments that we know we are progressing. So in order to progress, we must do things that we haven't done before, and we must do things wrong in order to find what is right. It's important to do the right thing, the wrong thing, the right thing, because then you know the difference between the two and you can move forward in it. And I've lost my train of thought on what I was going to say next.
Oh no, that's okay. But I love that. Yeah. Sorry, did you just regain your train of thought?
I can't remember, but just to really keep in the present of that moment in order to enjoy that purpose behind your singing before trying to analyze it and look forward to it.
I love that. Yeah. And I love that you also affirmed the fact that we do need to make mistakes. Like there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's where singers can really trip ourselves up, because we just want to be perfect. And the thing is, if we're striving for perfection, we'll never get there because there's no such thing, right?
Exactly,
and progress is more important. So thank you for saying that. Now, Susan's actually shared that as a part of her sort of starting the day routine, start the day with diaphragmatic breathing, 4 cycles of inhale through the nose and 4 seconds hold for 7 seconds and exhale. That's awesome, Sue. Love to hear that. And I'm guessing, can you tell us how that actually makes you feel, after you've actually done that? I'm guessing it brings on feelings of calm and peace, but tell us what it actually does for you mentally speaking. And we have a question from Lanali Sunshine. So Lanani's a singing teacher and she teaches teenagers. How can I make my students age 10 to 13 sing when they are afraid to produce even one note? Any Good
question. Yeah, so the thing that immediately comes to mind is trying to take them out of the moment. So character songs, for example, trying to put on and be like, you are not yourself right now, or you are not just being yourself singing in that moment. You are Oliver Twist, or you are this character, and we want to start with this accent, and we're just going to be brash, and we're just going to try and let loose into that character, and starting to embody the mindset of the character just starts to help take them out of the fear of the moment of being themselves, and just that moment then feeling terrifying for them, adding that character factor in and the traits of the character, as opposed to just worrying about their own traits and how they look. It's the case of, sorry, this is Oliver Twist, this is how Oliver Twist looks. And different things like that I found really, really useful to try and start with those character type songs that bring out a different part of the student that is more than just themselves, if that makes sense.
I love it. And Liani, sorry, I'm saying your name wrong. Lenali is thanking you. So
I hope it's helpful.
Yeah, I love that. I find it's because it is when we are really stuck within ourselves and we become so overly critical with ourselves. I mean, I think that's a great tip. Thanks, Kezia. Now, of course, we are, it's nearing the end of the year, and next year 2021 is coming. We've all had a bit of a challenging year, to say the least, right? This is probably one unifying factor of this whole pandemic, is that everybody has in some way, shape or form had a bit of a challenging year. Do you have any I guess I don't know, top tips or anything like that as it pertains to vocal mindset that you'd love to impart to us to help us to set up for a successful year in 2021, especially as it pertains to our singing, but overall?
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing that I always say is so important. Oh, I'm glad that was helpful. The first thing that I always think is so important is just remembering why you do what you do. As both a singer and a vocal mindset coach, I sing because I love it. It's the purest way I feel I can express myself. I am a vocal mindset coach because I've experienced the things that my clients have experienced. And if I can help them not to feel the way that I used to feel, then I would feel like I've helped people. And that is my mission, really. So that's just an example. If you have any of those, like we're going back out into the industry potentially, things are going to start building back up. And just remembering why you do what you do. Think of those moments that you get to go out there and perform again as being chances to perform, even if it's in an audition setting, even if it's in a setting you've not experienced before. You get to perform, you get to share your voice again, and you remembering what your why is. So I always think that's a really important thing, just to know why you're doing what you're doing, and making sure that you're doing it for yourself, for your joy, and also to impart that joy that you feel when you sing onto others. I think that's one of the most important things.
There's been so many takeaways, Kezia, and for me personally, I feel like there are three main takeaways for me. So number one is to remember your why. Remember your why when it comes to like, why do I sing? And just really carrying that at the forefront. The second thing that I want to take away from this is what you were talking about in terms of just setting yourself up for a great mindset day with some sort of a morning or a start of the day routine. I love that. I think that's so practical, and it doesn't have to be complicated or long. It's just something that can really just help us to ground, right? And for Sue, it's diaphragmatic breathing, and that might take 1 or 2 minutes,
and that's incredible way. The breath is such a good thing for like centering to the present as well. So that's a wonderful thing. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sue's actually telling us that it makes you start the day in a more relaxed manner, good for digestion. When eating your breakfast, you are ready for what is ahead of you. Love it. Thanks, Sue, for sharing that. So cool.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. And then I also took away some great tips on actual like performance, pre-performance. So things like positive affirmations and visualization. So it's been absolute gold, Keziah. Thank you so much for coming on the live stream. And I just want to encourage everybody, go and check out Keziah's work. All of her links are in the description box. So the website's coming up right now, anxious2sing.com. And you can go and check out everything that she does there. You can even book in to have a session with her. I'm sure it would just be so enlightening, right? And also follow her on Instagram. It's at anxious2sing, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And if you follow, then make sure you come over and say hello, because I love to meet all you new people. I love it when people come and say hello.
Yes, and Keziah is seriously the most amazing. Like, that's how I met Keziah, everyone. Like, I basically just sort of reached out on Instagram, hey, and then we ended up meeting on Skype for a bit of a get to know and a catch up and a virtual coffee. And then here we are. Now we're friends and colleagues as well in this beautiful space of singing, which has just been an incredible, part of my journey this year has been meeting you too, Keziah. So guys, go and check out her links. Is there any particular resource that you have or have made, or a link that you'd like us, you'd like people to go and check out specifically, Keziah?
In terms of anything that I've made resources-wise, I have a monthly newsletter, so you can subscribe to my monthly newsletter. That is via my website or my Instagram page. It's super easy. Everything's always on my Instagram page as well. And I also, in terms of finding your why, if that's something that you want to go deeper into, I have a free guide to power up your voice at the minute. So that is just a little workbook that you can go through, answer some questions that help you find that why, where that pure joy comes from, and start to develop some affirmations for your voice as well. So that is also, I'm not sure if it's on my website. Apologies, I should fix that. But it's definitely in the link on my bio on Instagram and on my Facebook page as well.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so if everyone goes to Keziah's socials, which is in the description box below, you'll be able to find that workbook there. That just sounds so useful. That'd be so cool. That'll really set everyone up for a great 2021. Darren's actually said he's already signed up to your website, Keziah.
I saw that today. Yes, I saw my new subscriber. Hi, Darren. Thank you so much.
Yeah, everybody else, please do the same. And Lanali is also just thanking you. This was so interesting, and it really was. So, Keziah, thank you so much. Our songbirds don't go anywhere. I want to tell you about next year and a few other things. But Keziah, thank you so much for just taking the time out, especially while you're on holidays in Peru as well. We're just so grateful that you took the time to spend with us and for your amazing nuggets of gold that you've just shared today.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me on. And it's wonderful to keep connecting with you and to meet all the songbirds.
Hey, all right. Well, see you, Keziah. And everybody, you can say goodbye to Keziah now, but make sure you go and check out all of her links. All right. So we'll see you again soon, Keziah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye. All right, everybody. So make sure you go and check out her stuff, right? Like, Keziah is incredible. I'm not really a big person who scrolls through social media a lot, but when I do have a couple of minutes sometimes and I scroll through Instagram, her posts are seriously the best. Like, if you're in a bad mindset, you just go and check out Keziah's Instagram at anxious2sing, and you'll feel better about yourself, I promise. So make sure you go and follow her, sign up for her free resources, and sign up for that workbook that she was talking about too. I think that's going to really, really bless you. Okay. Cool. Now, guys, today, as I said, is the last live stream for the year. It has seriously been the best fun. I started this live stream this year because I wanted to create a safe space for everybody to come together and feel like we could still sing together, and that we could still learn together, even though we're in a pandemic. And I can't believe that today marks 33 episodes. And I am taking a break from that for a little while, and we'll be seeing you again in February 2021. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss out on the live streams that will happen from February next year, make sure you do go and sign up at my website, and then you'll be notified when that actually happens. And you'll also get my free mini course, How to Sing in Mixed Voice and Stop Cracking, Flipping, and Straining. So, songbirds, you know that I am always believing in you. So why don't you go and get grounded, take flight, and sing? And if you want any more assistance with your singing, whether that's through one-on-one coaching or through my online programs, make sure to go to thesongbirdtree.com to check all those things out. All right. Thank you so much, Songbirds. You have the most amazing day, the most fantastic and blessed Christmas and holiday season. And I cannot wait to see you again in the next live stream in February 2021. All right. See you, Songbirds. Have the best